Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Yomi, Bava Basra Lamed. We are holding on Chav Testament Beis, 2 lines off the bottom of the Yamid. So yesterday we concluded with we ended in the middle of a story here where there was a question regarding the status of a chazaka. So this fellow purported to have purchased a property and purported to have done chazaka, had possession for 3 years, but the former owner claims otherwise. He says, well, it wasn't a proper chazaka, I was really around in the property as well. What happens now? Rav Nachman says, look, new owner, you have to confirm your ownership. Until that happens, the former owner is considered, he's considered the owner, right? For all practical purposes, we view him as the owner. You are the one who is being moitzi mechavero. You're trying to extract it from him. Whereas Rava says, no. The fellow who had possession for 3 years, he is called the buyer, this alleged buyer, he's called a muhsik. He's actually in possession. So now you, Mr. Former Owner, you have to prove your case. You're the moitzi mechavero. You're the one trying to extract. And you have to confirm your claim. So bottom line is that Rav Nachman considers the former owner as the muhsak, right? He has the hold on the property. He's considered in possession, whereas Rava says, no. The fellow who did the chazak, the current possessor, is considered the muhsak, and the other fellow, the owner, former owner, he must prove his case in order to extract it. Now, says the Gemara, we seem to have a contradiction within Rava and within Rav Nachman. V'rami de Rava. We're going to ask a contradiction, a kasha, a stira, from our Rava to a different Rava, where he seems to say otherwise. V'rami de Rav Nachman, other Rav Nachman, likewise, a stira between Rav Nachman over here to elsewhere. Dahu de Amar le de Chaver, we have a story. Reuven told Shimon, I'm selling you kol nichsei de bei bar sisin, all those properties that I have purchased from a fellow called Bar Sisin, okay, all those are now being sold to you. Mazavnin alach, I'm selling them to you. Okay, so it covers all of this Bar Sisin's former properties. Well, pretty much a clear-cut transaction, but there was one question mark. Havoi hahi ara. We have this certain property, Dava Mikri, the Beibar Sisin, which was called Beibar Sisin, presumably because it had been owned by that fellow. So presumably, it's going to be included and covered in the sale as well. Amalei, but now the seller, Reuben tells Shimon, guess what? It's not included. Halav Dvei Bar Sisin, this wasn't really owned by Bar Sisin. No, I didn't purchase it from him, no. Vikriyei, Hud Mikrayei. Nekraya de Bar Sisin. It's only called Bebar Sisin. Why was it called Bar Sisin? For some reason, maybe Bar Sisin, was the worked on the price. I don't know. For some reason, it was called Bar Sisin. That's what he's claiming. But it's not really, and it's not included in the sale. This remains mine and not yours. Also, come to Rav Nachman. So you come to Rav Nachman. Question: does it belong to Reuven, the former owner, or to Shimon, the purchaser? And guess what? Ukma biyad lekeach. Shimon gets it. He allowed Shimon to take possession. And Rava challenged him. The same to Amirayim. Rava comes and says, no. Shimon is trying to extract this property from Reuven. Reuven is the muhsik. He was the known owner until today, right? Amar Rava tells Rav Nachman, Dina, is this the proper approach to the halacha? Shimon is trying to get the karka from Reuven, because Reuven is considered in possession. He has to first prove his claim before getting it. So here the roles have been reversed. The opinions have switched. Because in the former discussion, Rav Nachman holds that the buyer is called a maitzi from the former owner, who's called the muhsik, and Rabbi says no. The one who's sitting in the property now, the buyer, he's the muhsik. And here it goes the other way. Rav Nachman says the buyer is a muhsik. Rabbi says the meicher, the seller, is the one who is a muhsik. Kasha the Rabba. We have a kasha from one Rabba on the other. And likewise, kasha the Rav Nachman. Answers the Gemara, no. These are two separate, distinct stories, and you can't compare. Why? The Rava lekasha. You can't ask Rava on Rava. Why? Hasam meicher kai b'nichse. Because in this case with Bar Sisan story, Reuben was still in possession. The meicher was still in possession of the property. He hadn't yet transferred it. So he's the muhsik. Yeah. The only way for the buyer to get it is by proving his case. As opposed to our first story, where Shimon already did chazaka, he's there for 3, he's the muhsik. Likewise, the Rav Nachman, Adu Rav Nachman, kasha. We can easily answer the kasha between the two Rav Nachmans. Why? Let's start from the story of Bar Sisan. Given the Amalei Dvei Bar Sisan, once Reuben promised Shimon all those Bar Sisan properties, Umikraya, Dvei Bar Sisan, and in fact, guess what? This property as well has that name, has that title. It's called Bar Sisan. We assume, you know why? Because it was purchased from Bar Sisan. So Reuben, the onus is on him. He has to prove the lav the Bei Bar Sisan that really it wasn't Bar Sisan, because the default assumption is that it is, because that's what it's called. So here, unless he proves his case, he'll lose. But back to the first case with the chazaka. Reuben was the known owner. Shimon is now in possession for 3 years. Reuben claims, no, it wasn't really a clear chazaka. But here, the chazaka of Gimel Shanim replaces the need to show a document, to produce a purchase shtar. At most, at best, it's like a shtar. It serves the purpose of the shtar. It proves ownership, right? Now suppose Shimon would actually produce a shtar, and Reuben, he has some questions on the shtar, on the validity of the shtar. What would be the next step? Let's say Shimon would be showing us a shtar that he purchased the property, and Reuben is challenging. Well, what are we going to say? What would we say? Certainly we would compel Shimon to be Mekayim to certify his shtar. First do that, and then you'll get the property. So this can't be any better. A chazaka of Gimel Shanim is substituting for the need of a shtar. It's instead of a shtar. It's in lieu of a shtar. So when there's a challenge, you have to prove your case. You have to satisfy. You have to respond to the owner's claims against your chazaka. You have to confirm the validity of the chazaka. So basically, we find very clear distinctions between the two cases, between the story of the questionable chazaka and the story of the Bei Bar Sisan confusion. So although it would seem that the shittas of Rava and Rav Nachman contradict each other, but really there's good reason for it, as we just explained. Continues the Gemara. Reuben asks Shimon, what are you doing in my property? My boys, by base, what are you doing in my house? Amalei says, what do you mean? I purchased it from you, don't you remember? I'm here 3 years running. Amalei says, well, that's not a fair chazaka. The whole chazaka is based on lack of protest. I didn't challenge your being in my property. Well, guess what? I wasn't here to even know about it. I was in the faraway markets. I'm a traveling businessman. I had no clue that you were here. So my lack of response, my lack of mecha'ah, is no indication of a demission. So Shimon responds to Reuben, what are you telling me stories that you're traveling? I have witnesses, the chalshata, that every year have a asis tlasin yamin. You were here for 30 days at least. Okay, I know you were here for 30 days, so you were fully aware of my being in your property. Amar Lacy says, well, those 30 days were hectic days. I was busy selling and buying. I was on the move. Amar Lacy Tlasan Yaimi. B'shukoyav Terid. Those 30 days were busy days. I was busy in the shuk, in the market. Again, I had no clue that you were my property. I have a different house in town. I had no idea that you, right? I stayed over there, and I had no chance to even pass by and check and see and notice that you were there. Amar Rava, he has a point. Yeah, it makes sense what he's saying, that he was busy during those 30 days, dealing and wheeling, and he really had no clue. And therefore, it's not considered a chazakah, because the chazakah only works if, in fact, the owner was aware of the chazakah taking place and remained silent. That's a raya that he sold it, but not if he wasn't around, if he wasn't paying attention. Here's another story. My boys by Ara. Reuben asks Shimon, what are you doing in my property? Amalei says, Shimon says, look, I purchased it from Levi, not from you, Reuben. I know you were the former owner, but I purchased it from Levi. The Amalei who told me that he purchased it from you. I don't know that he did, but that's what he told me. Amalei, and Rashbam explains that there was no, we had no, by the way, it's going forward in Masechta, it's Rashbam, it's the grandson of Rashi. So basically, Rashbam says there was no, we had no proof that in fact Levi was in possession of this property, because if it were so, then we would actually defend Shimon by coming to his aid. He purchased it from Levi, and Levi was the assumed owner, and now you can't come challenge Shimon and say it's yours, Mr. Reuben. He bought it from Levi. Go take it on with Levi. But Rashbam says we don't know. We have no edim that Levi was in this property. So, for all we know, Levi stole it from Reuben. Okay, and then quickly made a sale to Shimon, and we're done. Right. So we have no idea that really Levi was the established owner, and Shimon's claim, which is based on supposedly Levi owning the field, is not really a solid, substantiated claim. Because all he's saying is, I bought it from Levi, who told me. I don't know, but he told me that he bought it from you. Amalei, so Reuben responds to Shimon, look, you undid yourself. At lav kamoidis. Now, haven't you yourself admitted to me that this farm was in fact mine, right? You're admitting to that. Now, let's take it apart, step by step. Starting point is, it's mine. Now, you're not claiming to have purchased it from me, right? Rather, you're saying you bought it from Levi. Levi's just a scammer, right? Zil, go. Let go of my property. Lav ba'al dvaram didiyat. I don't know you. I don't have to deal with you. And I want to retake the field. Go fight with Levi for selling you a field that was never his. No, so who's right? Amar Rabba. So Rabba says Reuben is actually in the right. Dina Kamarle. He's right on. That's a proper din. And Reuben gets back to field. Reuben approaches Shimon. My boy is by Amayara with a question. I have one question for you. What are you doing in my farm? Amalei says, Miplani Zavinta. Actually, I bought the property from Levi. And I'm here for 3 years. Amalei, so Reuben says to Shimon, well, you're basing your ownership on Levi's selling it to you. Plani Gazalno, he stole it from me. Levi's a robber. Amalei, so Shimon responds to Reuben. This time he had a counter argument. Va'isli Sadi, you know what? I have proof. I have edim. I have witnesses that what? That noted the following incident. The asai, v'im lechibach, that I Shimon came and sought your Reuben advice. I came to ask you whether or not to purchase this field from Levi, and you told me to go ahead with it. V'amrasli zil zaven, you told me to buy it from Levi. How could you come back and how could you come and tell me that Levi stole it from me? Why would you advise me to buy it from Levi if it wasn't really Levi's? there's something fishy here with your argument. Apparently, it really was Levi's. Amar Le. So Reuben says, hold it. No, not so quick. The reason why I advised you to buy it from Levi is because I wanted to deal with you better than Levi. Levi's a hard fellow, difficult guy to deal with. Ha'asheni nayachli. Harishin kasha imenu. The second fellow is more agreeable, easy to deal with than Rishon, than the first fellow, than Levi. He's a difficult fellow. So the fact that I told you to buy it from Levi is no indication at all that in fact Levi was an owner. No, he's a robber. He just sold you a field and it belonged to him. Amar Rabbi Dina Kamarle says, Rabbi, guess what? He's right. And you can't build anything on Reuven's advising Shimon to buy the field from Levi. Says the Mar Kiman Ka'adma. Do you mean that we're following the opinion of Admoin and we don't paskin like Admoin, we paskin like the Chachamim? Where is this discussion? This is a Mishnah in Ksubis. We had this back in Ksubis, it's not. A similar story. Ha'erer ala sada. Right? We have Reuven and Shimon. Reuven is complaining that Shimon is sitting in his field. V'chasim ala ba'id. And Shimon produces a shtar, a document, a purchase document, that he purchased the field from Levi. And guess who's signed? One of the signatories on that document that Shimon purchased this field from Levi is actually Reuven, who's now claiming ownership. Okay? So you would think it's pretty much works against him, right? How could he say that it belongs to him when he himself agreed to sign a document which sells the property from Levi to Shimon? So Admon Omer, no. Reuben can say, look, as we just explained, the second guy is easier to deal with. Harishan Kashe Menu, I know I couldn't get my way with Levi, so I decided to cooperate with this supposed sale, have it transferred to Levi, then I'll go and get it back from him. No, this is a lame argument. Nobody would go ahead and, to this extent, actually lend your name to a sale of a field that was stolen from you? No. By doing so, you have relinquished any rights to the field. So Rava, who applies Admoin's concept to our story, seems to paskin like Admoin, which is a kasha, because we paskin like the Chachamim. Says the Gemara, no. Actually, even the Chachamim would agree that in our case it's different. You know why? Because nobody would go ahead and actually lend his name, sign a document indicating that his own field was sold to a stranger, if it really wasn't. He did a mas, and that's not a good sign. That, to us, indicates that in fact it's a valid document. So he loses his rights to Avalacha Dibur on here. In our story, at most, Reuben verbally advised, he prodded Shimon on to purchase the field from Levi. It's just words. Avid Inish, Dimikir Ba'amar. It makes sense that a person will do that. Words are cheap. You just, as long as it's not documented in writing, it's not a formal acquiescence. He didn't formally admit. So, yeah, what he's saying does make sense. I only did it so that it gets transferred to an easier litigant. But it's really mine, I want it back. Says the Gemara another story. My boy is Bayar. Reuben asks Shimon as to why you doing my property. Shimon says, look, I purchased it from Levi and I'm here 3 years. That's it. I don't have to prove my ownership. Reuben tells Shimon, Plani Gazalnu. What do you mean, Levi? He's a Gazlan. Shimon responds to Reuben, how could you say that this thing is a stolen property? I have proof. I have Adam, the Asas Borto. You came to me, last night, you yourself, and you offered to purchase this field from me. If you were really the owner, why would you be spending money on your field? Reuben says, I figured I'll purchase the property that I can really win in court, but I don't want to get involved in court. I'm willing to, spend this money, get my field back, and go back to life. But in reality, it's my field. Rava says, yeah. Sometimes a person would do that. And it doesn't really undermine his claim of ownership. Avadinish. the Zavan Dina, a person will do that. Will go and spend money, buy something which really rightfully belongs to him and something that he can win in court, he would do it anyway. So it doesn't undermine his position and his claim of ownership. We conclude with one final story. Reuben tells Shimon, my boy is Bayar, what are you doing in my property? I purchased it from Levi, I'm here 3 years, it's done. So Reuben responds to him, he says, look, I have my own document. I have my own document. I bought this field from Levi 4 years ago. So you're there for Chazaka, which is 3 years. I have a star that I purchased it 4 years ago. So my document preempts your Chazaka. It precedes your Chazaka. I'm the real owner. Amalei. So Shimon responds to Reuben, no, you have it all wrong. So you thought when I said I'm here for Chazaka, I meant Telas Shnei Kamin, I meant 3 years? No, more than 3 years. Chazaka Tuv Kamin, I meant that I was here for many, many years. I said I'm here Chazaka. I didn't think you need me to elaborate and detail and specify how many years I was here. So you assumed it's 3 years, but I really meant many, many years. So actually, my taking possession preceded your document. Rava says he's right, he has a point. Avidi Inshi. So the question is basically, is he really going back on what he said? He said, I would say Chazaka. Chazaka means 3 years. Now he's saying, I'm going back and forth. No. Avidi Inshi the Karulishne Tuvashne Chazaka. At times, a person will refer to a block of many years as simply Shnei Chazaka, not realizing that he has to go ahead and specify the number of years. So his claim is in fact stronger than the other fellow with the document, because he can claim that he's here, he's been here for many years, and he's a muhsik. Sheva Shnin. But there's one catch. He must prove that he was here for 7 years. Why 7? Because the other fellow claims that he purchased it 4 years ago. So he had to have had 3 years of chazaka possession before the date on that document. Because this, in fact, will prove that he's the established owner. Because if it's 7, then he has a full, complete 3-year chazaka period preceding the other fellow's star. So now, basically, how could Levi have sold it to Reuben after he sold it to Shimon, who was already there 3 years? He doesn't have to prove his case anymore once he's there 3 years. So the document with this purported sale from Levi to Reuben, dated 3 years after Shimon was already in the property, is null and void. But let's say Shimon can only substantiate 6 years of chazaka. Starting from today, going back 6 years. And the other fellow has a star that he purchased the property 4 years ago. So basically Shimon's chazaka began 2 years before the date on that document. That's a problem. Because now it turns out that Levi, who supposedly sold this karka to Shimon, who was only there 2 years, and then turned around and Levi sells the karka, he turns around and sells the karka to Reuben, he's basically saying, you don't have a bigger protest than that. It undermines the chazaka. Chazaka only works when there's no machad, there's nobody challenging the chazaka. But here that we have a document showing that Levi, the owner, who supposedly sold his property to Shimon, you see him turning around 2 years later and selling it to Reuben. What does that tell us about Shimon's ownership? Not really much. Why would Levi be selling a property that he already sold to you, Mr. Shimon? 2 years into your chazaka, why would he? Apparently, you're not really the owner. And your chazaka doesn't really say anything because it was challenged 2 years into the chazaka. So now, Reuben is the rightful owner. Okay, we started with a stira between two Ravas, two Rav Nachmans. We explained why in some cases the seller is the muhsik, in other cases the buyer is the muhsik, depending on the context, depending on the situation. We had a story of a fellow traveling businessman. He can say, look, chazak only works when I know, when I'm aware. I wasn't, and therefore it's not a chazak. We had a fellow who conceded ownership to the meicher by saying, look, I know, I heard that he bought it from you. That doesn't say much. We had another story about getting advice from this fellow to buy the field. Doesn't mean that he's relinquishing any rights. Likewise, if he made an offer to purchase this field, doesn't mean that it's not his. He was just trying to settle the case, just out of court, and it doesn't mean anything. And finally, we had the story of the chazak of 7 years preceding the sale document, and a fact that will show that it's his. All the best to you, and hatzlacha.